Guys, I think I figured out why the boomers are too busy to be grandparents, and it's because they're in the streets protesting. Also, we have to talk about Anne Frank being queer, obviously, and Justin Bieber is speaking out. Now guys, before we get into those other stories, I just have to talk about this video that I think we all saw on social media this past week, and that is of Elon Musk's trans child. Now I just have to say, I thought that Greta Thunberg took the cake as the most outlandish, insufferable teenage activist, but unfortunately, Elon Musk's child might have just dethroned her. Sorry for the jump scare, but what you just saw was Elon Musk's trans child performing at an anti-ICE drag show. Yes, an anti-ICE drag show. Not even SNL could make this stuff up. But before we get into this bizarre routine, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our channel if you've not already. And of course, ring that notification bell so you never miss one of our episodes. And as a reminder, I am finishing up my tour next week. We are going to be in Austin, Texas on Tuesday, the 24th, and then in Dallas on the 25th. We have 2 shows in both of those locations because you guys sold out the first one. And then on Thursday, the 26th, I will be in Houston to close it out. So if you guys have not bought tickets yet, go to brettcooper.com. I would love to see you there. Now guys, this is not the first time that Vivian Musk has performed or danced recently, because it looks like Vivian actually debuted this protesting routine on Hassan Piker's stream just last week.
That's crazy.
Now, hopefully all that practice paid off, because this was a big moment, not just for Vivian, but also for our country, because this could be the thing. That dance could be the thing that changes Trump's mind about the ICE raids. I mean, just watch, guys. This is truly impactful. I think the cheers are the worst part. Listen, I don't know what I'm watching. This definitely does not look like any drag I've ever seen before. It looks like some experimental Broadway show where they're adding like opera to a punk rock story from the 80s. That's basically what I'm getting here. But you know what, guys? That was powerful. That was so I just feel that. But you know what? If drag queens and dancing on stage to punk rock opera does not work, I am sure that the grannies protesting in the street will change his mind, which brings me to our next story, which obviously is last weekend's No King protest. So if you were living under a rock and you were not on social media last weekend for Father's Day, number one, good for you. That means you live a very healthy life, but that probably means that you did not see the protests that erupted across the country last week, and these were No King protests. So this kind of started from the protests and the riots that were happening in Los Angeles now 2 weeks ago. And obviously those riots were about deportations and the ICE raids, but the No Kings protest, it kind of morphed into just a hatred of everything Trump and just protesting his entire existence, which honestly is kind of what happens when the libs protest these days. And guys, they were probably the most hysterical protests I've ever seen. And that takes a lot for me to say this, but this truly was so absurd. And even just the name is hysterical. They said that they were protesting kings in America, fascism in America, and that is where the name came from. I guess they forgot that they live in the United States of America, where 250 years ago, we got rid of the monarchy, but Trump is apparently a king, is a dictator. We have to dethrone him, and they were going to get in the streets to do that. But what I really want to focus on today, what really made these protests so funny, was the fact that literally only boomers attended these rallies. And I am not the only one who noticed this. This was a post on Reddit from just a couple of days ago after these protests took place. This was in r/Gen Z. And this guy said, "Those who have been to protest, have you noticed a lack of Gen Z? Just wondering if this is a widespread thing or if there are just less young people in my city. But the past few protests I've been to, the participants have been predominantly old folks or millennials Gen X with their children. It's not like I've seen no Gen Z. We just haven't been the majority like I expected. I know one reason is we have to work, but these protests have been on weekends. So where are they? Where are the Gen Z? They're getting outnumbered by Gen X and the boomers." Yeah, well, I think Gen Z has kind of realized that it's no fun being on the side of the resistance when the revolution is being run by grandparents and mainstream corporations, because obviously that means it's not a resistance in the slightest. I mean, basically what it is just a bunch of peace and free love hippies trying to relive their glory days in retirement by going to these protests, and Gen Z has realized that that simply is not cool. I mean, why would Gen Z want to take time out of their weekends when they finally get a break from work to go to a protest where old people are dressed up as tacos? Take a watch. This is real. This is a real thing. This is in Northwest DC. These are old women in tacos. Why? Like, genuinely, is this your way of supporting the illegal Mexicans that are in our country? You're gonna dress up as a taco? Like, don't deport them! We need the tacos! Like, I genuinely do not understand, but that is the only logical connection I can make between No Kings protests and old ladies wearing taco outfits. And obviously the tacos are ridiculous and outlandish and hysterical, but there was a lot of, like, sadness at these protests. Like, genuinely, it was disturbing because of how emotionally distraught so many of these people were. Like, just watch this video of this old woman talking about her life under Donald Trump.
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry about everything. And I just am so scared. And I don't understand why people did and voted for this person.
I mean, guys, like, that is such a depressing and sad existence to live. This is a 74-year-old woman who spends every waking moment being terrified of being alive under Donald Trump. Like, I can't even laugh and make fun of her because it genuinely is so sad. I mean, imagine getting into retirement and finally having the time to just love on your family as much as you want and spend time with your grandchildren and go golf and play bridge and travel and do whatever you want to do in your glory days. And instead, you are protesting because you are so afraid of the world, because you're so locked into MSNBC and living in perpetual fear and anger. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a Trump problem. That is a you problem. These people have been conditioned into just constant fear and anger. Like, lady, go into your sunroom and drink a cup of 7 Weeks coffee. I guarantee you will feel better, because I always feel better after drinking my 7 Weeks coffee. Now, 7 Weeks coffee is Alex's and my go-to coffee brand that we drink literally every single morning. And as you guys know, I am very picky about what ingredients we bring into our home and put in our bodies, and 7 Weeks coffee hits the mark. Their coffee is mold-free, it is pesticide-free, it is shade-grown and low-acid, and it is organically farmed. Not to mention, best of all, they also have an incredible mission. 7 Weeks is America's pro-life coffee company on a mission to help fund the pro-life movement one cup of coffee at a time. They donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers and pro-life organizations around the country, and to date, they have raised over $900,000 for these centers, and they have saved thousands and thousands of lives. And the reason why they're called 7 Weeks is because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, which is perfect. And I love that I can stand behind both the ingredients and the values of this company. So if you're ready to make the switch, head on over to 7weekscoffee.com/Brett. And if you subscribe, you will get 15% off forever, plus a free gift with your order. And exclusively for the Cooper Troopers, if you use code Brett at checkout, you will get an extra 10% off your first order. So if you end up subscribing, that is a total of 25% savings on your first order, plus that free gift. Just use code Brett at checkout. But back to that woman, I mean, like, does she have any family around her? Like, is this truly her only existence? Like, the only thing that she's thinking of on a daily basis? And that's literally what I saw when I'm watching all of these videos. I mean, they were grown-ass adults, old people, grandparents at these protests beating up Trump dolls. You do not do that if you are emotionally stable. Watch this video. This is somebody's dad. This is somebody's grandfather.
No!
And everyone else in the video is also older. The woman who is selling the 5-cent Trump beat-ups is also an older woman. The people walking in front of the camera are also older. Like, what are you people doing? And how is this normal? Bad boy, bad Trump. Like, you're not disciplining your geriatric poodle here. You're talking about the president of the United States. Like, I don't understand what is going on. There was another older guy who literally tried to attack a mounted cop and his horse. Like, dude, what do you think is gonna happen when you break out of the protesting line and you go shove yourself in front of an animal and a cop that is in full riot gear and an animal that weighs thousands and thousands of pounds? You're gonna get it because they're gonna protect their animal, and also you need to get back in line. I mean, like, genuinely, what is going on to think that this is completely appropriate or needed? Or sane. Like, you were literally too old. I'm sorry, you were too old to be trying to start fights with cops and horses. Just, like, leave it alone. Now, granted, a lot of these protests were not violent. Like, that compared to what we saw in LA last week was basically nothing. They kept things a little more peaceful that was going on there with the Waymos and the setting fires. But to be honest, like, based on the demographic, I don't know how much damage a person who has to be back at the nursing home at 9 p.m. can actually cause. And I'm not joking about the nursing homes. Watch this video. Watch these women leaving their nursing homes in their protesting gear.
Okay. Here we come. All right, I got you. Got me? Yep, I got you.
Legacy Village. This is not a joke. Gosh, these are our grandparents. These are our grandparents leaving Legacy Village retirement home to go protest. This is what their golden years have come to. Protesting Trump, having Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, guys, it's funny, but it's also so sad. Again, because this is the existence that they are living in 24/7. Their minds are completely controlled and dominated by this anger and by this fear. Now, everyone online was obviously posting these videos. They were pointing out the demographics. They were saying, why are these boomers here? This is so ridiculous. This is so confusing. But I personally am not surprised by this for two reasons, which I want to talk about. Now, number one, Trump was wildly popular with Gen Z. We know this from November. That popularity has only grown over the last few months. And yes, in general, my generation, Gen Z, is still very left-wing, but things have changed. Like, we, people my age, are not filled with the same hysteria and the vitriol that they had 5 years ago. Like, clearly, that hysteria shifted into another generation, and the polling backs that up. This is an article from April. Boomers disapprove of Trump more than any other demographic. Now, secondly, is something that somebody said online about these boomers that I think is a valid point and can offer insight into that polling and why they are moving so far to the left. And he said, boomers and earlier generations finished brain development before the internet. They only learned to trust authority, and they never built an epistemic model for the digital age, and that is why they are so vulnerable to propaganda. Most are unfit for a world of infinite information, and only their deaths will end mass compliance culture. Now, obviously, that is a very morbid and sad thing to say, but he's not wrong. I mean, the world of X, the everything app, of independent journalists, of people like me on YouTube, like the majority of people above the age of 60 are not consuming that content. And if they are way ahead of their peers. Like, you guys are the exception, and I am so glad to have you here. But to further expand on this whole idea, this is an article that dives into the same topic, and these numbers are crazy, but they also shouldn't surprise you at all. So this article reads, as Los Angeles Times reporter Stephen Battaglio recently wrote, the median age of CNN, Fox, and MSNBC audiences, respectively, 67, 68, and 71. But this isn't necessarily a bad thing for the industry. 50-plus age group constitutes 43% of the television audience. So the majority of people who are watching cable news are older than 50 years old. And it's so ironic that for years, millennial and Gen Z children were claiming that their parents were brainwashed by Fox News. Fox News was ruining their parents and their families, evil overlords at Fox. Clearly, based on these protests, the hysterical grandmas crying, that was not the case. The people that we just watch in all of those videos, they are not watching Jesse Waters Primetime. They are watching The View. They are watching Rachel Maddow. And if they are on social media, I'm sorry, they are on Facebook getting duped by AI videos and fake stories about Trump. That is the media that they consume. That is why they are hysterically crying about their futures in the streets. That is why, instead of playing bridge on a Sunday afternoon at the Legacy Village retirement home, they are getting into the van to go protest No Kings and their hatred of Trump. Or for some women, this means that they were going to head out into the streets, of course, dressed as handmaids from The Handmaid's Tale, because they have no innovative ideas other than that. I mean, ladies, we get the point. You've been dressing up as the handmaidens for 10 years now. We are done. Get a life. Go babysit your grandkids. I do not care. Now, thankfully, at least one of these protesters was willing to do the hard thing and say the quiet part out loud. And she explained why this generation is apparently so upset at Trump and his stance on illegal immigration, among many other things. And that is because with these deportations, he is taking away their cheap labor. And that is really what she's upset about.
So I'm in my beautiful city, LA, and I have friends texting me like all morning. My gardener didn't show up. My housekeeper didn't show up. My farmer's market was closed. Everyone's scared. Well, this is not going to just happen in LA. And you 1%ers that only voted for Trump because of money, guess what? You're going to have to do your own dishes, or clean your own house, or mow your own lawn, and that wonderful produce, the organic produce you get for your brunches, all gone.
God, it's so ridiculous. Every part of this video is ridiculous. From the 1% voted to Trump because the 1% only cares about money, to the fact that apparently the only people who can wash your dishes are the illegal immigrants. I mean, I see these arguments all the time, and I'm like, is that not racism? Like, oh, well, we don't want to do those jobs. That's why we have to delegate them to the illegals who come in. That is awful. That is not compassionate. Like, listen, lady, I am sorry that you and your friends don't get to underpay your lawn guy anymore, but I am sure that there are plenty of good American teenage boys looking for work this summer who would love the job. I'm sure that they'll have a lot of time on their hands this summer unless they're sitting around speculating about Anne Frank's sexuality, which is apparently what the girls and the gays and the theys over at Pink News are spending their summers doing. Because when you run out of things to politicize in the modern world, well, obviously you just go back in history to dig up some more inspiration. And last week, they decided to break down why they think 13-year-old Anne Frank was apparently a lesbian, or at least bisexual. And this was the headline that they posted. Was Anne Frank lesbian or bisexual? Her diary certainly proves that she was attracted to girls. Now, in this article, which is just absurd from the get-go, it's absurd that anybody would write this at all, but in the article, they brought up some of the most intimate things that Anne Frank ever wrote in her diary, that this 13-year-old girl who never thought anybody would ever see anything that she wrote, that she wrote down, and you are going to be shocked. But before we dive into that, I want to tell you about my friends over at Helix. Now, you guys know that I take my sleep seriously. Like, there is very little that I love more than being in bed, going to bed, napping, and the key to enjoying that is my Helix Dusk Luxe mattress. This mattress is so good that Alex and I actually got multiple for the rest of our house because everyone who comes to visit us deserves the perfect night's sleep. And what I love about Helix, other than just how amazing the mattress is that they make it super easy to find the right mattress fit for you. They have an innovative sleep quiz that matches you to the best fit based on your preferences. So whether you are a side sleeper, a back sleeper, stomach sleeper, if you want a firm mattress or a soft one, they have it all and they can direct you in the right way. We ended up with Dusk Luxe because it gives us that perfect balance of support and comfort, and we have never slept better. And the best part is that Helix delivers the mattress right to your door in a box. You just unbox it, let it expand, and you are good to go. Plus, they offer a 100-night sleep trial so that you can make sure you love it before fully committing, but I am sure that you will. So if you are ready to upgrade your sleep, head on over to helixsleep.com/Brett. Your back and your naps will thank you. Again, that is helixsleep.com/Brett for 20% off. Okay. What is this? What did they do to this thing? I mean, come on, there's gotta be red 40, blue 6, yellow 5. There's no way that this is natural, right?
Wrong.
Okay, who said that? And what is going on? Because I am never wrong.
Organic blue corn, cooked in grass-fed beef tallow, finished with sea salt. That's it.
So it's not trying to kill me?
Not unless you choke on it.
Masa chips, made the way food should be. No dyes, no seed oils, just real chips. Go to masachips.com/Brett and use code Brett for 25% off. Now, back to this insane article. One thing that I do want you guys to know is that there were a lot of details in this article, like very intimate details from Anne's diary that I am not going to read on the show. Number one, because again, I don't think she ever wanted anybody to read any of this, but I want to show you a couple of passages about a friend that she often referenced having feelings for or thinking about. Anne added, quote, "I go into ecstasies every time I see the naked figure of a woman, such as Venus, for example. Quote, it strikes me as so wonderful and exquisite that I have difficulty stopping the tears from rolling down my cheeks. If only I had a girlfriend." On the official Anne Frank website, Jacqueline, that's the girl she's talking about, wrote about her relationship with Anne. "We had a close relationship and I liked being with her, but she laid a claim on me and I didn't know how to handle that." She continued, quote, "I always had to prove to her that we were best friends. Her passionate declarations of friendship were too much for me sometimes. Then I met up with other friends and she was jealous and unhappy. Years later, I read that she had written about this in her diary. But before she went into hiding, I had been able to tell her where the limits were." So they're talking about this relationship. They're speculating that maybe it was something that was more than just friendship. But then Jacqueline goes on and says, quote, "Anne accepted this, and it only improved our friendship and made it stronger." Anne also wrote about her friend Peter in the diary, saying, quote, "It gave me a wonderful feeling when I looked into his dark blue eyes and saw how bashful my unexpected visit had made him. I could read his innermost thoughts, and in his face I saw a look of helplessness and uncertainty as to how to behave, and at the same time a flicker of awareness of his masculinity. I saw his shyness and I melted," she continued. "I wanted to say, 'Tell me about yourself, look beneath my chatty exterior,' but I found that it was easier to think up questions than to ask them." And then we go back to the writer from Pink News, who writes, "Anne never defined her sexuality, and it may not have been the most important fact about her. She was a teenage refugee, after all. Yeah, duh. But it is important to shed light on times historical figures have expressed same-sex attraction. As Twitter user Rachel has pointed out, the passage is rarely discussed and not widely known. Now, I have no idea what Anne Frank was thinking or feeling when she wrote any of this, or when she shared any of the other intimate details that this article goes into. I really don't make a habit, unfortunately, of speculating about the sexual development and sexuality of a 13-year-old girl, unlike the people over at Pink News. But in my opinion, everything that is here, everything that was in her diary, was in fact just her as a 13-year-old girl developing sexually and understanding one's sexuality, which is very normal when you are a person going through puberty. But what really annoys me about this article, other than the fact that it was written just from the jump, is the positioning of it, because they wrote it as if her family and the world and the Anne Frank nonprofit and all of that, as if they kept the sexual content more private because of embarrassment or shame over her sexuality and people not wanting to talk about lesbianism. Like, no! People aren't bringing this up. It has not been brought to light because it is weird and inappropriate on so many levels because, again, it is a 13-year-old girl. I think her family probably did not want the most intimate details about her developing sexual life and feelings blasted online for everybody to have an opinion on and for everybody to pick her apart for years to come, which is literally what you are doing. Like, she never consented to any of this being released. Not her diary in the first part, and certainly not these intimate details that you share. Like, I think all of us would be genuinely horrified if our 13-year-old feelings and desires were ever made public. That is so embarrassing and weird, and it's so intimate and vulnerable. That is why it's not talked about. That is why it is not widely discussed. Not because people are bigots and don't want to talk about lesbianism. It's really not that hard to understand. And also, like, finally, Anne's story and why it is so heartbreaking and prolific and significant is not because of her sexuality. It's not even about that. And to try to make it about that is just so wrong and so completely inappropriate. It is possibly even more inappropriate than making Father's Day about moms, which is exactly what the Tennessee Titans did last Sunday. Now, guys, I cannot lie. I saw this post. Alex showed it to me, and I genuinely thought that it was made up. I thought that this was some AI thing. I thought that it was a gaffe, something weird. I did not think it was real. But this, in fact, is what our local NFL team decided to post on Father's Day. It is completely ridiculous. Their tweet reads, Tennessee Titans official account, Happy Father's Day to all the Titan moms and fatherly figures. Moms and fatherly figures. Not even Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and then also, you know, the stepdads and the father figures and the brothers who stepped up. No, just ignored the fathers completely and made the post about everyone else. Like, I just know that there was some 20-year-old liberal female social media intern typing all of this up thinking that she really did something to fight the patriarchy on Father's Day in 2025. Girl, no, I think you probably got fired after that tweet came out. But also, like, after all the shenanigans that the NFL has pulled over Pride Month and Pride Months prior and just everything in the socio-political landscape over the last 5 years, I should not have been as shocked as I was, but genuinely, I could not fathom that this was real. Now, of course, this tweet was promptly deleted. I think it was deleted like an hour later after everyone realized that this was not, in fact, a joke and they were getting railed in the comments. And unfortunately, one of the things that helped everyone realize that this was not a joke was the fact that this was a theme that was popping up everywhere on Father's Day. For instance, take this article. Opinion. On Father's Day, it is crucial to recognize the importance of mothers, but it gets even better. They wrote, on Father's Day, when all of the attention falls on perhaps the least important character in the delivery room, it seems to me that a smart father would insist on recognizing the blinding truth. The woman who made him a father is the real hero of the story. And this is written by a man. This was written by a self-hating feminist man who was like, no, I'm not going to make Father's Day about me. It must be about the women. I hope you got laid after that, buddy, because I genuinely do not understand any other reason why you would publish something that is so ridiculous. Like, you idiot. Like, that would be called Mother's Day. There is an entire holiday dedicated to that. You do not need to twist Father's Day into something that it is clearly not. Like, I hope that you guys just at least keep this energy until next May. Like, I hope, just for the fun of it, I hope to see a plethora of Instagram infographics and articles about how really on Mother's Day, we need to celebrate the most important character of the story, that we need to celebrate all the men who did the deed and made her a mom, because that's really what it's about. But we know that that would never happen, because anyone who would have the gall to say that, even as a joke, would be tarred and feathered as some kind of misogynist. But apparently, this is totally fine because it promotes feminism and celebrates and uplifts women, which apparently we have to do every day for the rest of time. Like, I do not need to be celebrated every single day. Like, we can move on. Dads are incredible. They deserve to be celebrated. They deserve to be supported, especially Justin Bieber. And that is the father that we need to talk about next, because watching Justin Bieber break down on social media and in front of the paparazzi is just heartbreaking, especially because you and we all know what is going on behind the scenes. But last weekend, actually over Father's Day, it just felt different. Like he lashed out at another set of paparazzi, and his cry for help and his cry for privacy was just heartbreaking, and he sounded totally different. Take a watch.
I'm a dad, I'm a husband. You're not getting it, it's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
We're on the sidewalk, Joe.
I don't give a if you're on the sidewalk. I'm a human being, you're standing around my car. At the beach. I don't know who the paying you to provoke me, but I'm not the one. Okay? Stop provoking me and I'm a real dad, a real husband, a real man.
All right,
so don't do this to me.
I mean, the Biebers, guys, they are fed up, like rightfully so. They want the bare minimum. They want to be left alone and not have cameras in their face 24/7. Like, they actually want what Meghan Markle and Harry have been saying that they want. Like, they genuinely would love to have some semblance of privacy. They want the tabloids to stop running these awful planted stories about the fact that they're getting some divorce or that Hailey is some, like, maniacal woman who tricked him into marrying her. Like, they have had enough. It is ridiculous, and the last straw is that no matter where Justin goes, he is getting followed by these people. And I think that I briefly mentioned this in my Bieber episodes, but like there are maybe 2 paparazzi companies left in LA. Like, the paparazzi is not normal in 2025. This is not 2006. This is not Britney Spears and Paris Hilton and the Kardashians getting followed every 5 minutes. Like, if you see paparazzi photos in 2025, more than likely they have been called. Like, when we saw Alec Baldwin's wife, Hilaria Baldwin, whatever her name is, standing outside with like her book on this sidewalk in New York City being like, oh, you just caught me. No, she called. She called to have that photo taken. And Justin Bieber is not the one calling them. He is not tipping them off saying, I'm going to be at this beach at 11 p.m. Like, in the video, he even says, I do not know who is paying you to provoke me. I do not know who is paying you. But the truth is, Justin Bieber does know. He knows exactly who is doing this. He just can't say. And he's hoping that people catch on and understand that this is not something that he wants. And I feel like everything Justin was saying was less of a message to that cameraman, to that paparazzi guy specifically, and more of a message to the person or the people who are paying him to follow Justin around 24/7. Because obviously that is not organic. Now, even though all of this is happening around them and there is a lot of noise and they can't be left alone while the tabloids are still hungry for insane stories and ways to divide Justin and Hailey remains undeterred in her commitment to her husband, which is just so amazing to see. Even this week on TikTok, she commented on a video from a really famous TikToker who was basically saying, like, leave Justin alone. Like, can we just let him heal? Can we, like, stop following him around? Hailey commented, she was the top comment, and she said, like, exactly. Basically affirming everything that girl was saying in the TikTok, like, please leave my husband alone. Like, they are doing everything they can to try to keep it together, to protect their family and their son, and just try to piece his life and business together after it has been completely disrupted by everything that he is going through, which obviously we have talked about it. Like, now, if he could just take a few days off of Instagram and stop posting the stories, that would be even better. I think that would help all of us, but also him as well. He just needs to get offline, go touch grass. The boomers also need to touch grass. They need to get out of the streets, and the writers at Pink News seriously need therapy. And that is what I learned today.